5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Director Jarvis. You have 22,000 employees, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And I'm told you have over 400 sites that you manage and trust for the American people. I don't have a national park in my district anymore. I did have St. Augustine. I have to tell the members and Mr. Jarvis that we have, well, at least my experience has been we have some incredibly dedicated, hardworking individuals with the Park Service who day in and day out and weekends, sometimes 24/7, do a wonderful job. And we appreciate their service, and they're doing it sometimes with limited resources and with a great crew of volunteers, too. So we have a list that's a pretty tough indictment of people who abused their responsibility. And I think you started to tell some of the problem. And I've sat through, today we have the National Park Service. We've had EPA, we had IRS, we've had Secret Service, we've had GSA. The list goes on. And we hear the same thing. You just said that you have a process that you must go through for discipline. It's almost impossible to fire a federal employee. I don't know if you'd agree with that, but it's very, very difficult, isn't it, Director Jarvis?
Yes, sir. I would agree with that very much so. I've done it a few times in my 40 years.
But it's very, very difficult.
It's very difficult.
I chaired civil service for 4 years. I found it almost impossible, and that's part of the problem we face. Civil service was set up as a protection against political manipulation or misuse of authority over legitimate working civil servants. And it's gone far beyond that in providing cover for people who don't do a good job, and it puts barriers in the way. You could probably go through these cases and cite all of the compliance that you had to do, the due diligence required by Title V, by other regulations, by other laws that constrain you from taking immediate action. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
Okay. It's hard sometimes. We can't get agency directors to come forward, but do you have any suggestions for anything that might speed up or improve the process to get rid of these poor performance or malfeasance employees?
Specifically, no, but I would certainly appreciate the willingness of the committee to work with us on some reform in this area, because I do think it is a significant problem for us to be able to deal effectively. If we do not follow the rules throughout the process, there's a high likelihood that the individual can be reinstated.
But again, we hear this. You're not the only agency with these personnel problems. Ms. Kendall, okay, you have do you see a lack of management, or do you see a similar pattern that we described, or both, with what you have observed with some of these cases?
I would say both, sir. I perhaps disagree somewhat with you in terms of the difficulty by which to remove employees. I think the failure comes in the unwillingness to take progressive discipline and document.
Well, I like that, progressive discipline. Maybe I'll have a new liberal approach to getting rid of people who are poor performance. I actually gave a certificate in transportation. I called for the firing of Metro incompetent personnel, and then the new director came to the second meeting. He fired 20 people the day before. I presented him with a certificate of appreciation because I never hear of anybody firing poor performers. He did it. But you say it's a lack of progressive
progressive discipline and documentation.
Okay. Maybe I could do a bill, act for progressive discipline and documentation. But you think that could be something that we could do to get a better handle on this?
I think it's something that good managers do if they've got both problem employees in
Maybe an
terms of.
executive order to that effect might help. Thank you. I yield back.